They didn't just cross my name off a list, they erased me, like I was never part of them. And the funny thing about being erased, sometimes it makes you impossible to ignore. That morning, my mother's email arrived like a bullet in my inbox. Subject line: Family Foundation Gala, revised guest list. 340 names, and mine, highlighted in red. A note beside it: removed. Doesn't meet event profile requirements. That was the moment I realized I wasn't family anymore, that I was a risk to their image. That I called my brother, Daniel, the golden boy, the banker, the kind who spoke in numbers and status. That he didn't even sound surprised. Nora, don't take it personally. This year's event is high profile. We've got ambassadors, CEOs. Mom just wants to keep the tone sophisticated. Sophisticated, that word again. The family's favorite weapon. That I wanted to ask him, what's sophisticated about pretending? But I stayed quiet. That they'd always looked at me like the dropout idealist, the one who chose compassion over capitalism. That I worked for a nonprofit, so they assumed I was broke. What they didn't know was that I was the deputy director of the Global Crisis Council, one of the most influential peace organizations on Earth. At 27, I'd negotiated ceasefires, advised governments, and briefed the United Nations 17 times, but to them, I was just Nora, who helps poor people. That my family loved. Appearances, polished smiles, perfect suits, charity galas that smelled more like money than meaning, and what they called the Family Foundation. It was built on my money. $70,000 a month. They called it contributions. I called it survival. For them, when my brother said, having you there would send the wrong message, something inside me cracked. What message, exactly? That I actually make a difference, that I don't need chandeliers and name tags to feel important. He hung up before I could answer. 5 minutes later, another email arrived, this time from the U.S. State Department. Ms. Hale, confirming your attendance at the state dinner honoring the French president. The President and Secretary of State have requested your presence at the head table. Same night as the gala, and for the first time in my life, I didn't decline. That I replied, confirmed. The weeks before the gala were a performance I wasn't invited to. My mother posted photos of the mansion, the Michelin chef, the guest list dripping with titles, but never once did she mention her daughter, the one financing the whole illusion. 3 days before the event, my sister called. Nora, don't be upset. Mom just wants to protect the foundation's image. I laughed. By pretending I don't exist? It's nothing personal. You just don't move in those circles. She said it like she was reading a script. That I hung up, walked to my closet, and pulled out a midnight blue gown, the one I'd bought for a state dinner I'd never planned to attend. Now, it felt poetic. The night of November 15th was warm, unseasonably so. As my family posed for photos beneath chandeliers, a black SUV waited outside my apartment. Ms. Hale, the agent said. We'll have you at the White House in 20 minutes. The White House, not a rented mansion, not a performance, reality, security checkpoints, foreign ministers, senators, people who shape nations, not Instagram feeds. Inside, a sea of flowers and crystal lights. Secretary of State Morrison greeted me herself. Nora, the president's been waiting to meet you. Your work on the peace accord changed everything. At 7:30, we took our seats in the state dining room, table 1. Head table, directly across from the President of the United States and the President of France. When President Morrison introduced me, Deputy Director Nora Hale, one of the world's leading voices in crisis diplomacy. The entire room turned toward me, and somewhere across town, my family's gala screens flickered to life, showing me on CNN, seated beside the president. My phone vibrated non-stop. My mother, my brother, my sister, all calling. That I didn't pick up. While they clinked champagne glasses over borrowed prestige, I was being offered a seat on the National Security Council's advisory board. The Secretary of State smiled at me. Their loss, Ms. Hale. You belong here. Later that night, when I got home, I had 127 missed calls. My mother's voicemail played like a confession. You've humiliated us. Everyone saw you. They're asking why we never mentioned you. You've ruined everything. I deleted it. By the end of that month, my family's foundation collapsed, the donors left, their perfect image shattered, and me, I kept doing the work that actually mattered, the kind that saves lives, not reputations. They once said I wasn't ready for sophisticated company. They were right, because sophistication isn't about chandeliers and designer gowns. It's about integrity. It's about standing tall when the people who raised you try to make you small. And if you've ever been erased by the ones who should have celebrated you, remember this: when you stop seeking their approval, The world starts noticing your light. Their gala ended at midnight, mine is still going.